Greetings, this is Dr. Letitia Wright, and this is the Get Crowdfunded Now podcast. I wanted to do this open because we haven't had new podcasts for a while, and I wanted to let you know I'm back. Yes, I've been super busy. We've been doing a lot of different things lately, but I'm still working with people on crowdfunding and still wanting to teach crowdfunding for business. So if you're just getting started trying to understand the whole crowdfunding world, this is the podcast for you. Now, we're going to do it a little bit differently because I am time crunched. I have the teaching set up in a conversation podcast style. So, as we move forward, you'll be hearing other voices, but it's still basically my teaching material. And it is copyrighted. So, please respect the copyright, but learn the information. I want to invite you to listen to this first episode, and here we go.
Okay, so we're diving into alternative financing today.
Which I know is something you've been interested in for a while now.
Yeah, definitely.
We found some research that focused on Gen Z, and it turns out that they are shaking things up.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, they're not that into traditional banking or the stock market.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're much more interested in crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be taking a deep dive into today.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Sounds like it could be the start of like a whole new financial system.
Right. It's a pretty big deal.
Definitely. It really makes you think about money and investment differently.
Yeah, it's not all about those big institutions anymore.
Exactly. It's way more about like direct participation.
For sure.
So I think a lot of people listening are probably familiar with crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending.
Probably.
But for anyone who needs a refresher, can you just break it down for us?
Yeah, totally.
So crowdfunding, basically you have these platforms like Kickstarter,
Right.
Indiegogo,
Mhm.
GoFundMe,
Yeah.
and individuals contribute often small amounts to projects that they want to see happen.
And if that project hits its funding goal, then
It takes off.
yeah, basically.
And then peer-to-peer lending that cuts out the banks. So it connects borrowers and lenders directly.
Through these online platforms.
Exactly.
I see like that Exploding Kittens game on Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
That was crowdfunding, right?
Huge crowdfunding success.
It really shows you how powerful it is.
Yeah. People get excited about a project.
And they just fund it.
Totally.
And for Gen Z specifically, there are a few reasons why these alternative methods are so appealing.
Okay, like what?
Well, first of all, values. They
Mhm.
really care about social and environmental practices.
Right.
And they want to support businesses that are aligned with their values.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. And then second, I think there's some distrust of traditional institutions.
Makes sense.
They've seen a lot of financial crises.
And then third, they're digital natives.
Of course.
They're comfortable with online platforms, and they like that direct connection.
Yeah, they grew up with that.
Exactly.
I think that aligning your money with your values thing is really interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes me wonder if I should be doing more of that myself.
Yeah,
It's becoming so important to people.
it is.
What about you? Do you ever think about that
Oh, yeah, all the time.
when you're making financial decisions?
Totally. I think people really want their investments to reflect what they believe in.
And these alternative methods can help them do that.
For sure.
But I'm guessing there are also some downsides to all of this. Of course.
Thinkers?
It can't all be sunshine and rainbows.
Definitely not.
What are some of the risks involved?
Well, with crowdfunding, the biggest risk is that the project fails.
So you could lose your investment.
Exactly. And there's usually no guarantee of return.
Right.
And then with peer-to-peer lending, there's the risk of borrowers defaulting on their loans.
Oh, right.
And you often have less regulatory protection.
Regulatory protection. Can you break that down a little? Sure.
Basically, regulations are like the rules and the oversight that help protect consumers and investors.
Okay.
So they ensure things are fair and transparent.
Got it.
And with peer-to-peer lending, sometimes those protections are a little less developed.
Than traditional banking.
Right. So, for example, if a borrower doesn't repay a loan,
Oh.
you might have fewer options for recourse.
So it's like a trade-off, right? You have the
Oh.
excitement of new possibilities,
Yeah.
the chance to support these cool projects.
But you also need to be smart about the risks.
Exactly.
Trying a new recipe.
Uh-huh. I like that.
It could be delicious.
But it also might not turn out so well.
Yeah, you might end up ordering takeout.
Exactly. It's a great analogy.
I think it really highlights the importance of doing your research,
Yeah.
understanding those potential downsides.
Before you jump in.
Definitely.
So it seems like these alternative methods are really changing things.
They are.
Especially with Gen Z leading the way. Where do you see this all going?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, Will crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending become the norm?
Or will they stay kind of on the fringes?
Right, and I think there's also all these variations within peer-to-peer lending.
Totally. You have platforms for small business loans,
Right.
debt consolidation.
There are a lot of different options out there.
It really makes you think about what the future of finance could look like.
It does.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think that we might be at the very beginning of a financial revolution.
It's exciting.
So I know you're interested in alternative financing.
I am.
What does all of this mean for you?
That's a good question.
Do you have any ideas about how you might want to use these methods?
Me?
Especially with your passion for listeners' interest.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe crowdfunding could help you get that project off the ground.
It's definitely something to think about.
The possibilities are pretty exciting.
They are.
And this deep dive is really just a starting point.
Right.
The more you explore these methods,
The more informed your financial decisions will be.
exactly.
I love that.
Knowledge is power,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to finances.
For sure.